Welcome to the second interview with the candidate to the president of IOC. Dear colleague, I remind us yesterday that we have 415 colleagues registered. All these colleagues will receive after this meeting also the tape of the full interview, so they can have this as a reminder if they have lost something. And I want to thank Johan Eliasch that is here with us. He is the president of the FIS, the Federation of International Winter Sport. And I think that we can begin. Dear Johan, thank you, first of all, to accept our invitation. We are very glad about this. And one is important thing is that you are a newcomer in the IOC. Yesterday we have had the younger candidate. In some way, you are the youngest IOC member, no? 6 months before you elected IOC member, you decided to run for the president. Why? What happened?
Well, first of all, Gianni, thank you very much for having me here today. It's a great opportunity to answer all the questions you have about my candidacy. Yeah, so I had absolutely no intention of running for this job when I was elected an IOC member. I think it was on the 24th of July last year. And I was as surprised as everybody else when I finally pushed that send button to send in my application. But what happened was that in the lead up to the deadline, I got phone calls from IOC members who said, look, you have a background which will be perfect for doing this job. And I thought long and hard about it. And what it came down to is the inspirational force that the Olympic movement is. And I grew up with sport. It was the most important thing to me as a young boy. And I remember those moments watching the Olympic Games when Kelly won 3 gold in Grenoble. Sport was just such a big part of my life. And I was a good athlete. I was at the top level in curling and in golf. Unfortunately, those sports were not Olympic sports at the time. I was also, but that's no excuse, because I also did football, ice hockey, I did skiing, tennis, motor racing, sailing. So there you have it, the jack of all trades. But so what it came down to, it's the hope that it inspires that everything is possible. Anything is possible through sports. And it is such an inspirational force that unite people to come together, find constructive solutions in a always peaceful and uniting manner.
Okay, now we go to all the details, because you are in the industry a top guy, no? Now in the sport is also a kind of industry, no? So there are different sections that you have to follow and to increase some situations that in this moment are in a crisis, no? Let's begin with the gender parity and the gender problem, because you know that lately there was a big discussion regarding the transgender that can create problem in the women competition and so on. But we have to respect the human rights of everybody, but we have to find also a solution to find the balance for the result, because sometimes the results are not such a big balance. What is your opinion?
Yeah, my opinion is very clear. No ifs, no buts, no ands. Women's sport has to be ring-fenced at all costs based on science and facts, not ideology or trends. And it is pretty much a generally accepted fact that if you are formed as a human being with the SRY gene, you are not a woman.
Yeah.
And that is dispositive of all other arguments.
Okay, so it's very clear. So, and regarding the gender equality in sport, in the winter sport, you think that you reach this point? Because I've seen that, for example, in alpine ski, women are growing a lot compared to men in the past 5 years, 10 years. And in the other kind of discipline, is the same, or there is still not, you have not reached yet the gender equality?
So here, our goals is to have equal prize money and also equal representation. Now, that said, we should always have the best people for the right positions.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are as many women, if not more, than men that are qualified for the right positions. In FIS, we are almost there, and that has been a transition from somewhere around 70-30 towards 50-50. And we're very close to that, and it works perfectly.
And in the IOC of the future will be something that is already reached, and so we have to continue on this way, or not?
We definitely have to continue on this way. And that also comes with encouraging women to take part and to also run for important jobs.
Okay. Listen, regarding still the athlete, because the athletes are the center of everything. There was discussion if it is necessary or not to introduce prize money in the Olympics. What is your opinion?
So here, I think the Olympics are a little bit different from all other events, insofar as the Olympics are based on values. We started with, we only had amateurs allowed, and then we opened up to professionals. It's never been prize money. And of course, if you do well in the Olympics, you're set for life. We also run into issues here with the prize money, with different federations having different, shall we say, money expectations. And in some cases, it won't be meaningful. And in other cases, if you go to the other extreme, IFs will not be able to afford to introduce prize money. So here, I am a believer that no, the Olympics should not be done with prize money.
Okay. Let's go to another thing that is always important, that is you are involved also in a lot of discussion regarding the weather, the condition, the climate change. No, you are very involved on this.
Yes.
Especially in winter more than in summer, but summer also is becoming very hot, and so it's very difficult to organize the summer in the middle of the summer. For winter, and your opinion regarding this climate change, what are the possibilities to avoid something that can be a kind of disaster for sport?
So for winter sport, climate change is potentially an existential threat. Planet wasn't designed for 8.5 billion people living the way we do, and we have to accept that, and we have to take action. Here, if we look at the Winter Games, there is this concept of a rotation scheme. I believe in that because we would then narrow down the venues to a few that the IFs can support through World Cups, World Championships, so that maintenance and capital expenditure is kept up, so we don't need to recreate venues. We also have organizations in place. It will reduce complexity. It will also make it less costly, and that's, I believe, long-term much better. For the Summer Games, here, depending on where we go, we also have to be innovative with calendars, obviously in close collaboration with other IFs, other events, so that we don't have clashes. But we need to be flexible. We need to mitigate and adapt to climate change, and also we have a duty because we have such a big voice, such a big reach, to be a strong voice. Okay.
Next year there will be the Olympic in Italy, Milano Cortina, no? And there are still problems for the athlete, the participation regarding the participation of athletes of the countries that are in war. We have the war in Ukraine, we have the war in Palestine, we have the war, but in African countries that are not involved with the winter sport. But for the participation of the athlete, what is your position?
So here my position is also very clear, and that is we must defend our neutrality at all cost as a movement. And when it comes to the athletes, they can't choose where they were born. So therefore, we need to defend them so they never become weaponized for political purposes. Super important. And here, I believe that the individual neutral athlete scheme, which worked very well in Paris, that's the right path to take.
Okay, let's go to the other problem of sport, that is doping and match fix, no, more than match fixing, but yes, there is some competition, yes, and manipulation of result.
Well, there is nothing worse than cheating, and that is very important that we the highest integrity throughout everything we do. So with the doping here, WADA is doing a tremendous job. It is important here also with the athletes that they take responsibility to follow the rules. Rules are everything, and we need to abide by rules here.
Okay. Another thing, I think that you in your campaign, you're speaking about 10 points, very important. The last 10 point is the big one, is recognizing that every IOC member is equally special. What do you mean?
What I mean here is that we are 115, up to 115 IOC members, and we're all equally special. So we are there to provide a service for the Olympic movement. And it's important here that the members are not just seen, but that they are heard. And that we have the right channels for that, that we encourage open discussions. And it's only through open discussion and debate sometimes that you get new ideas, and new ideas that's essential for evolving where we are today to a high level, and to be the best version of what we can be.
And also the administration of the Olympic Committee can change a little bit how to focus on the different problem. What do you think?
I think that, first of all, let me say this. Thomas Bach, he's done a phenomenal job. He's taken the movement to another level in his 12 years. And he has done that in sometimes very difficult circumstances, with COVID, with conflicts, with introducing a lot of change. And now the next president's task will be to take it to an even higher level. And we're going to be faced with many challenges as we go along. We have new political variations going on. World is not exactly united. It's very divisive and disruptive at the moment. And we have a sea change when it comes to how people consume content. And here the digital space is going to be very important. Also, AI is going to come in, which is a great opportunity. But we need to stay ahead of the curve, and we need to do more with less resources.
Yes.
And finally, we need to make sure that we are relevant not only 2 weeks every 2 years, but every week, every year.
Now, coming to the relationship with media, no? There is in the top organization, even your and the IOC now, a kind of situation in which they try to cut sometimes the press conference. For example, in Greece, where there will be the election, every candidate has a set, instead to have the press conference, to have the mixed zone. That is something completely, on my point of view, crazy, because in the mixed zone, you know, is a kind of fight between journalists to have the words, and there is no translation also, because, for example, here today we have the translation in 4 languages, so everybody is equal. And I think that in the future, you think that there will be more, in some way, respect for the press than in this moment?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to comment on what the IOC does, but I can tell you what my style is, and that is, I believe in a healthy democracy with lots of different opinions, but where the best ideas win, and that happens through open discussion and debate. And sometimes the media can make very positive contributions to that debate by asking the right questions. So I'm all for having questions, being held accountable, and also answering for all the questions that you would have.
Thank you very much. So now we open the floor to the colleagues that are here, because here is a real press conference. It's not only between me and you, and so people has to raise the hand. There is already some hands on. So Tracy Holmes from Australia.
Thanks, Gianni. And hello, Johan. Thank you for taking this question. I've read through your manifesto, and it's very detailed, talking about innovation, creativity, new ideas. And I just wonder if you think a majority of the membership is ready for such creativity and innovation. You talk about new technologies, AI, etc. What about innovations like the enhanced games and how they are going to impact the Olympics and the way people are consuming sport now and what they expect from sport?
Well, thank you, Tracy. As President Bach stated when he was elected in 2013, change or be changed. And he did very well. He changed the organization, took it to another level. I'm saying now we need to stay ahead of the curve. And this is a very exciting time if you like technology and you see the possibilities with all the different changes that we have out there. So, for instance, cloud-based hosting of broadcasts opens up enormous opportunities where we can, also with the help of AI, tailor-make what you get, based on how you consume content. And this opens up all sorts of possibilities for fan engagement. Also for partnerships, and let's face it, sponsorships, that's something of the past. It's partnerships today. And that is how the people that want to partner up with us, how we can activate those partnerships in the best possible fashion. That is how you're going to attract partners paying the sort of money that we would want to see. So, I mean, yes, technology is going to play a big part. AI, for sure. I mean, that's going to affect whether you're in sport, you're in business, whatever you do, it's going to have an impact on everything. Hopefully to the better. This needs to be regulated. There are aspects of it that could potentially pose threats, but I'm sure we can find ways to deal with that as well. Now, of course, to embrace all this, you need to have an open mindset, open to change. I think, I mean, based on my conversations with the IOC members, the vast majority are open to head in this direction and recognize the need for evolution. We're not talking revolution. It's just staying ahead of the curve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Maybe I can jump in
You're
while we're
muted.
waiting for Gianni. Can you answer about the enhanced games? Your thoughts on that?
You mean enhanced games in relation to, if you would please give some more color to the question.
They're apparently going to be launched in the USA in a matter of weeks, to be staged as early as later this year, where athletes are encouraged to take performance enhancing supplements in order to break world records. Athletes are all paid. If they break a world record, they'll be paid more. It's called the Enhanced Games, and it's all about utilizing enhancements that many people in the general public are now taking.
Who is the organization who is behind that?
Yeah, they're just called the Enhanced Games. The guy behind it is a guy called Aaron D'Souza.
Okay.
And he's got the backing of people like Donald Trump Jr., a lot of the enhancement industry, the longevity wellness kind of industry. They're very supportive of this and quite innovative and scientific, but completely at odds with anti-doping nature of the Olympics.
So for me, and if we look at sport is all about having a level playing field. It needs to be accessible. It should not be dangerous. And a lot of these enhancements are dangerous. They don't support the concept of having a level playing field. So is this something that has a place in Olympic sports? No, definitely not. If this is an initiative outside what are Olympic sports, that's up to those organizers, and I'm not really going to comment on it beyond that. Any sport that is part of the Olympic movement would, I mean, certainly in my case as president of the International Ski Snowboard Federation, it wouldn't have any place in what we do.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Jens Littorin från Sweden.
God eftermiddag från Sverige, Johan, and thank you for being with us today. As you mentioned, you are a supporter of the idea of having the Winter Games for sustainable reasons should rotate among a limited number of cities. Considering that Sweden, the country where you were born, never have hosted the Winter Games, do you think that Sweden should be among this group of hosts?
Hey, Jens. So, definitely. And I was quite involved in for the 26 application, and more recently with 2030. There has to be a political will in Sweden for this to happen. Industry was right behind it. The Swedish Olympic Committee, they tried very hard. But without the political will, which is not only the government, but also the local communities. And I think the last time around, there was a short window of opportunity, much shorter than normal, to step in unusual circumstances where other bidders were either disqualified or rather prevented from continuing with their bids. So my point here is that I really hope, as a Swede, as born in Sweden, that Sweden will at some point in the future be able to host the games. So yes is the answer. Very much like to see that. We did host the Summer Games in 1912, and that's something I was always proud of as a kid. So for sure.
Okay, so now we go to a special guy that Rick Perelman, that in 1984 he was the chief of press of the Olympics in Los Angeles. Rick, go ahead.
Hello, Johnny. Nice to see you after all these years. Hopefully one day in person.
Yeah.
President Eliasch, thank you for doing this. In your candidate statement, you were very clear that the Olympic program, especially the summer program, needs to be revisited. Can you talk a little bit more about what your concept would be? Because there's a lot of sports in the summer games now that really exist because the IOC is funding them.
Yeah, so I think here it's really important that we have the best sports with the best formats and with the best athletes. That is very, very important. And that is, I mean, sport at the end of the day is at the front and center, at the very core of the Olympic movement. And here we need to make sure that we deliver the best. And that's a constant review. I'll give you a good example. We have a discipline called Alpine Combined. So it's a slalom, is a skier who has to ski slalom and downhill. So where that ends up most of the time, because there are so few that can do both, is you have a slalom skier that looks like Bambi on ice trying to do downhill. And then you have a downhill skier in great need, desperate need of a compass to navigate his way through the slalom course. Now, people want to see the best of the best in athletic achievement. And what we did here was to create a team competition. So you have the best slalom skier teaming up with the best downhill. Not only do you have the best performances, but you also have the intrigue of the teams, how they're put together, who's skiing with who. Is Lindsey Vonn going to ski with Michaela Schifrin, or how did that play out, etc. This was a huge success. And this is what I mean. It is finding the right formats where the best athletes participate, and that is best for sport.
So if I could follow up, so your interest is to fine-tune the sports, not so much to eliminate sports and bring in others?
No, I mean, the sports have to have, obviously, be fully aligned with the Olympic objectives. That's how they become Olympic sports in the first place, or keep that. And secondly, I mean, it is a competitive world out there, and there has to be interest in it.
Okay, thank you.
So now we go to Wojciech, Poland.
Good afternoon. Hello. I wanted to ask something where your origin is, which is skiing and snowboarding. I believe the sport where you have many athletes, from many countries participating, but from very few participating at the highest level. Battling for the medals. And of course, you are still doing a lot of job to increase the participation in as many nations possible. But, and of course, that is also what the IOC does with the Olympic solidarity. But what I wanted to ask, do you have any plans to increase the participation at the highest level, which is battling for medals, or let's say top 8, top 10 positions in different events, not within the athletes themselves? I mean, I don't mean like 10 Norwegians battling strictly for the medals, but as many countries battling for representative of the countries battling for medals.
So Wojciech, that's a very good question. I was very hard of my candidacy for the FIS to increase the reach and to make sure that we have a diverse field of nations participating in and also at the highest level. This takes time, and it's something you build up from grassroots up. It's not something you can do top down. But here we can play a very important role in doing that. So the answer to your question, yes. And here we also need to think long and hard about perhaps venturing out and hosting games in new territories. We've never been in Africa, we've never been in India, we've never been in the Middle East.
Thank you.
Let's go to Alvor.
Yes, hello, thank you. Johan, you have been speaking a lot about the environment and the responsibility of major sporting federations. At the same time, you're flying around in private jets, for example, to the FIS Congress in Reykjavik. Isn't that kind of a paradox, or how do you see that yourself, flying with a private jet and still have this environmental position?
Well, first of all, sometimes travel schedules are only possible because you can't be in two places at the same time through private transportation. Secondly, I have for a very long time been engaged in climate action, not just climate change. So I've been protecting rainforests for a very long time. So I'm somebody that, if we talk here about offsets, and I know we should all be conscious about our individual carbon footprints, but I live by the principle that I will always offset more than what I emit. So if I emit more, it means that I offset more, so it has a positive impact. And we're not talking once or twice, we're talking more than 10 times in my case. So I try always to think about optimizing travel schedules in everything I do, that we and I do what's positive, but at the same time minimize my carbon footprint.
Malik, Amjad. You have to open the microphone. Malik, microphone open.
Thank you, Gianni. My question will be that with a commitment to a zero tolerance for corruption and unethical behavior, how does you plan to enhance transparency and ethical governance within the IOC?
So I think the IOC has, there's some echo here on the line.
Wait a moment.
Maybe somebody has to mute.
No. Yes, it's good now. You can
Okay,
go.
good. Yeah. So the IOC has a proper platform for this and has spent a lot of time and effort to make sure that it also works. And that is very good work that we need to keep up. Wherever we can, we'll enhance it to make sure that we always have level playing fields, that we always are free of corruption.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Raul.
Hello, good morning. Do you have a strategic expansion plan for countries or continents with little history in the video game, such as Africa or Latin America?
Well, Raul, having spent a lot of time in Latin America and South America, I know how important sports are in those countries. Same in Africa. It is very inspirational, and here we need to do whatever we can. I mean, the Rio Games was great for the entire South American continent. Having spent a lot of time in Brazil myself, I could see it with my own eyes, and that's why I'm saying we need to venture out to new places like Africa, like the Middle East, like India, and it will require a little bit more planning, but as with everything else, everything is possible.
Okay, now we go to May Zhao. Mei Zhao? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Good afternoon, Eliasch, Mr. Eliasch. The second phase of the United Nations COP16 opens today. With sustainability and biodiversity in the global spotlight, amid climate challenges, how do you see the role of the Olympic Games in the global sports ecosystems and in promoting the long-term sustainability of winter sports and the Olympics?
Yeah, so I think the IOC can play a great role here, because if we look at government efforts over the last 30 years, it hasn't been very successful. I think we can all agree on that. And it's all going to come down to us individuals. Because the planet was not designed for 8.5 billion people living the way we do, and there is only one planet. Any other solutions are too far away, and we have to protect what we got. It's the only way forward. So through sport and through the Olympic movement, and get the message out there even more reinforced, educate people even more. I think we can have a big impact on what climate action needs to be taken.
If you had the opportunity to lead the IOC, what key reforms would you prioritize?
So, I mean, we are at an interesting point in time. I mean, we're living in with amazing new technologies, with AI, with all sorts of things that will transform our ability to reach people and tailor-make product. I mean, I think in a few years we can have augmented reality glasses and watch movies, sports, whatever we want to watch, and it will all be wireless and seamless and tailored to what we want to see, right? We need to be ahead of the game here and make sure that we have the technologies that are necessary, that we can be the best possible partner. And being the best possible partner, activation for our partners is going to be obviously key. And here, technology also plays a big role, technology and access. We need to be attractive to everybody in every sense. And here is also where sustainability is very important to everybody, and particularly the younger generation. And being relevant to the younger generation is key in everything we do.
Okay, now let's go to Michael.
Yes, hello, Mr. President. I would like kind of follow up to the last answer concerning how would you see the future of media in general? How do you see the IOC and also the FIS with the role as a content provider? Do you think that the federations and the IOC's role in the future is to provide the content for the whole world? And a short follow-up to the press conferences, I have to add that, like, sadly, the FIS World Championships in Saalbach were the first ones without any press conference for the medal winners. Would you say that should be a kind of way for the Olympics as well? Or how do you see, as I asked before, the role of the traditional media in the upcoming future and in interaction with IOC and federations? Thank you.
So this was a decision that was taken by the local organizers, and in the context of also the logistics in Saalbach. So the whole resort had to be closed off. It was 50,000 people in a very small space, and I experienced this myself. I mean, you could hardly walk because there were so many fans. It was great, but it made a logistical challenge to organize press conferences, getting the athletes from one area to another one. I think the takeaway that I have from that is that definitely in the future we must find solutions in FIS to always have press conferences. That is something that we need to take note of. Now, let me also say other part of your question, and that is Saalbach was a great improvement in digital engagement from anything that we've done in the past. And here we have, over the last few years, invested a lot in augmenting our capabilities and extending our platforms. And here, storytelling is key. Content production, also beyond important. We have created a content exchange platform together with all the national ski associations. And this is something which is also very beneficial for the athletes, because now they have access to their performances, their content, which is key for them. And this is an area which is moving very, very fast. And as I said earlier, we really have to stay ahead of the curve and have the latest, the best, so that we are competitive with any other sports.
Okay, let's go to Juja.
Yes, hello, Mr. Eliasch. We probably now we are not echoing.
Microphone.
Yeah, I have opened it. Can you hear me?
No. Yeah. Yes.
Can you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, talking about environment again, I think there is a collision in the intentions, because when you take a closer look at the biggest spenders in sports industry, and not maybe in the Olympic movement, but in general in sports industry, those are the big fossil fuel sponsors that are really sort of polluting sport, like ENEOS, Shell, Total Energies. I mean, they spend a lot of money in sports advertising. So there is a big money coming from that side. One hand. The other hand, when you prepare for the Olympic Games, even the trials, in 28 or 32 sports, 1.5 years before the Olympic Games, it's a huge carbon footprint burden, because they travel globally for all the trials, for all the, different competitions in order to be selected for the competitions to participate in the Olympics. And then you are looking at the Paris Olympics, where you can see that in the Olympic Village, the fans and the cooling system, is just shut down, and poor athletes have to sleep outside because it's too hot in the room. And also you find yourself as a journalist that you don't have media transport buses in order to save, of course, and not to burden the environment. However, you have to do your job on time, and you're traveling together with the fans on the metro whatsoever. So as you can see, from one side, there is an intention to sort of lessen the carbon footprint, but on the other hand, with the big spenders and with all the trials and everything, I don't know how you can do it. So I can feel some real imbalance in between that. What is your solution for that? Thank you.
Well, if I had a solution for that...
Close your microphone. Okay.
Sure.
It's okay.
So Shusha, I wish I had a solution for that. So with a magic wand, I could just change everything. It's more than that. It is a lot of small details that add up to potentially a big piece of the pie here when it comes to reducing carbon footprints. At the same time, we cannot let form take over substance and do things for show. That doesn't work. Of course, the athletes, they need to be in a comfortable environment where they can excel the next day. They need sleep. You need transportation. But But here there are solutions to everything. I mean, for instance, cooling can be achieved through heat exchangers and heat pumps, which has less of a carbon footprint than fossil fuel powered solutions for that. Transportation, we need as a world increase the proportion of renewables, and with more renewables, solutions with, for instance, hydrogen becomes more palatable. Electrical vehicles, etc., for shorter distances, and so forth. So it is having a practical mindset. It requires detailed planning, and here as IOC we can educate people, we can help hosts, we can help IFs to discover new ways of doing things. Here also AI will play a part, because that will help with optimization of complex, very complex parameters. Also, if we look here at the event delivery at the games, here I believe there are opportunities to reduce complexity, for instance, working closer with the IFs. I've seen that firsthand. We do events week in, week out. And for the games, these organizing committees are recreated with very long lead times. So here, if we can reduce complexity, reduce carbon footprint, and reduce costs, so what I call do more for less. And that has to be at the front of our agenda going forward.
Okay, next is Anders from Norway.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I'm sitting here in Trondheim, Johan, at the Worlds at the Press Center, and we can see how the number of members in the Norwegian Ski Federation is declining and sinking year by year. I think the kids want something different today than they did 25 years ago. So my question is, do you see the need for a sport like cross-country skiing and others to change and evolve, in order to give kids what they want in the future? And if so, how?
So I think some sports are in a sense local, regional. Cross-country in the Nordic countries is huge, and it also comes with territory, because we have in the Nordic countries snow a little bit longer than elsewhere, and at lower altitude. So it is great. But let's face it, if we take cross-country, it has competition from other sports. And here it is super important that we spread the reach. And this is why we have taken initiatives in places like China to grow our sports, accelerate the growth together with the Chinese sports ministry and Chinese Ski Association to build up the sport. Here you have 1.5 billion people. It's a great opportunity to grow a sport where you have climate conditions in part of the country that are quite similar to what we have in the Nordics. In fact, I came back from there from the Asian Winter Games, and it's even colder than what we have. And there are many other places on this latitude where we should make sure that we grow the sport even more. And also in Central Europe, we can grow the sport more, and in the US. So it's promoting, it is also caring about the formats, make sure the formats are as attractive as possible. It is many things coming together.
Okay, let's go to Amadi from Iran.
Yes, thank you. I would like to say my question. My question is about politics and sports. It seems that the IOC has had a dual approach regarding politics and sports. For this reason, the Olympic Trust was not observed during the Paris 2024 Games. I would like to know what's your opinion. Thank you.
First of all, politics are always going to be politics, and it's always going to be there. As a sports movement and as the IOC, we need to live by our fundamental values at all times and never compromise. And neutrality is one of those fundamental values. And it's so important because the day we get drawn into taking sides in political disputes or political decisions, that's a slippery slope that doesn't end up in a good place for us as a movement.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. Alexander.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to ask the question. So my question will be about the media. My colleagues already told you about the problem of the media that we have, because in every competition we see how the possibility of the traditional media has been cut all the time. We're talking about the opportunity to speak at a press conference. It's very strange. For example, for Zalbach, how it was possible that even in the lack of the space, it was in the press conferences. You said you want to do it in the future, yes. But my question is, how do you see the role of the traditional media, not broadcasters, not those who pay for broadcast, but those who still tell people about the sports for free? Isn't it one of the main signs of the democratic society to have the free media? What you personally ready to do for the media, which made this Olympic Games, made the sports popular to the people, and now sports and Olympic movement take money from the broadcasters, from the sponsorship, and absolutely forgot about the media who still has their role to deliver the information for free. What is your personal position? What you ready, if you're ready to do for supporting free media in this world?
I'm a staunch believer in free speech and in media. And media has a big part to play with sport, to bring awareness, to bring new fans. It's everything. I mean, I grew up reading newspapers when we still read newspapers. What did I read? It was always the front page and the sports pages. And I miss that in a sense because it's not delivered that way. But the storytelling is so important to stimulate interest in sports. So you have I say this to the entire media, you have my full support, conviction, and I will do everything in my power to make sure that we operate in a transparent, open-minded, open for debate kind of fashion. I should add, it is also important, and with your help, that we have a fair and balanced approach, both sides, in everything we do. That's the best of all worlds. That's how new ideas develop. I mean, I have many friends among journalists who I always pick up the phone and check new ideas, new concepts, because they know so much about sport. They've been around for such a long time. They speak to the athletes, they spoke to my predecessor, they speak to everybody. So they are fantastic source of information and great for the sport as a whole.
It's great to hear. We help you with ideas.
Thank you.
We help you. We help you with ideas.
Now we go to
we like that. We like that.
Michael, okay.
Yes, good morning. So in the beginning, the Baron created the Olympic art competition. It's now known as the Cultural Olympiad or program. And part of the Olympic Agenda 2020, what's your view of the future of that, of the cultural aspects of the Olympic Games?
I think the cultural aspects are very, very important for what we do, where we go. I mean, as you can see, if you read my manifesto, or rather seen my manifesto, you can see that I'm also very much inspired by art. And I love art. I love culture. And by the way, all that art that you saw in my manifesto, that was created through artificial intelligence. And that tells you this would have taken months, if not years, to create all these images. This was super easy, super fast, less than a day to do all that.
So now we are at the hour, and before to thank you, I would like to ask one question, because you have spoken about digital, and there is a big debate about esport and the Olympics, no? Because if you stay in front of a computer, it's very difficult that after you go even to ski. The colleague from Norway is asking why the young are not going anymore, perhaps to make cross country. I think that they cannot play cross country on the screen, and if they play on the screen, they have no time to go on the snow, no? And especially if in the city you don't create the field in which the kids can go to play, it's very difficult that they can make sport. The problem, I think, what do you think about this idea of e-sport that it looks so important now?
Yeah, this is very important to reach younger people, esports. And we have to always do that, remembering what our fundamental values are. So, yes, it's not a physical activity, but what we do here has to correspond to what we are. It has to be true to our brand values. I think this is a test. It's an opportunity, and we have to be mindful that this will be an evolution, it will be a journey, but I'm sure we can do it.
No, because I think that in some way, the e-sport are also a kind of mind game, because you must react, yes, with the hand, but especially with the mind, no? So at least why not after to have in the games also the chess or other things that are mind games? This is the problem, or not? It's very similar, or not?
I was going to say the same, yeah. So, yeah, you're right. There are many games that would fit in, and maybe that will be something that how this evolves could.
The brain is always important, so it's better that we play with the game, with the brain. Yes. Sometimes. Okay. Yes. So yes. I want to thank you so much for your kindness, because it's important that we continue to discuss sometimes, because we have also to learn. And I'm very glad that I would like to see in this environment, there is a really senior journalist of the Olympic. I hope that is still inside, Wakako from Japan, that she is a kind of person that knows everything about the Olympics. She was always around, and I am glad that she was with us before. I want to thank you very much. You will receive the video of this meeting. This, as I told you at the beginning, this video will go to all the people registered, and after a few days, we will go on our channel also on YouTube. So, in some way, you work with all us in the world, and this is very important. I thank you very much.
Well, Johnny, let me say this. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to address you all. It's been great pleasure, and I hope to see you soon.
Sure, for sure. Bye. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.